Hello everybody and welcome back to another CB Showtunes tutorial. Now today what we're going to be getting into is discovering how to actually pick up objects inside your scene using a multitude of pretty much let's just say a lot of different ways of doing this. So today's tutorial is going to be all about using triggers. Next week's tutorial is going to be all about using raycast. So we're going to just continue on trying to show you guys how to do this. So this is going to be the very basics of picking up objects and all. And we're going to be starting off with just picking up resources. Say for instance, if you're making an RPG game or whatnot. Say for instance, if you're collecting ammo and you're running over an object, then you're going to add ammo to your clip or whatnot. So basically, how this script works, at least this individual one, is it's based off of a gathered time. So if I walk up to the resource and then hold down E, as you can see, I have a particle system that goes off, and then of course another particle system when I collect. And you can see also that we have like a little UI system around these objects that allow us to watch it using our camera, which is really cool. And of course, once it reaches zero, it's going to pretty much destroy itself, which is what we want. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here and how we did it. So the first thing that you're going to need is obviously a game object inside your scene that you're going to be using. Mine was simply this ore that I made in Blender. And of course, I just added a capsule collider and a box collider on it. The box collider is just to prevent the player from stepping all over it. And of course, the capsule collider is our trigger. Now you can add this as big as you want or as small as you want, depending on how you want it to be set up. And of course, I have this pickup temp script right here, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. And right here we have our resource name, our current resource amount, our max resource amount, gather time, time. We also created a slider. We made a normal particle, a collect particle, and of course a resource text. And that's all on that one game object. Now underneath this game object, you're going to put a canvas. Now this canvas you're going to need to set to world space. That way it can hover wherever you want it to be. And I made sure that it was sitting above the ore. Now you can set it to wherever you want it to be. I dropped it down to the width of 50 and the height of 30, but then I scaled it down to a 0.05 and a 0.05 on the X and Y. Now the reason why I scaled it down is because it still maintains the appearance that it's going to be a 50 by 30 instead of it being something a whole lot worse. So say for instance if it was a 500 or so, then it would still maintain that appearance of a 500, how to put it, pixel screen, except it's scaled down. Now keep in mind, I would not scale it that far down if, you want like a 4K texture. Now, just don't do that. Just use a different setup like camera overlay or something like that. But yeah. So anyway, we have this little stone slider canvas, and underneath that we put two different objects. So we have a slider and a text. Now the slider is just a basic slider setup. I just removed the handlebar. And then of course our text. Oh yeah, and on our slider, make sure that you have whole numbers selected because we will be using whole numbers as a value. And of course we have a text right here. And I just called it resource name inside the text value. And of course you could leave text as is. Make sure though that on your canvas you do rotate it. I believe rotate it on the canvas. Oh no. Rotate your slider and text because for some reason whenever you're trying to make your camera look at, or this thing look at your camera, it will be looking like this instead of, looking how it's supposed to be. So just keep that in mind. Okay, now for our particle effects. Now particle effects, they're the same thing as our normal particle effects. We just created a effect particle system, dragged it where we want it to be, and of course just added stuff to it. Now if you notice that cool little thing that I had, whenever I was collecting resources, you saw all those objects just flying everywhere. That was actually just a different game object. So on normal, you're going to be using this default particle, but you can use any form of resource or material to actually use as your, how would I put it, I guess as your little flying off into the distance thing, the effect. That's what it is. Don't know why I couldn't think of that. Anyway, so we now have both of our effects set up. And of course we have a stone ore set up. And that's all that you have to know about the setup part. Now we're going to get into the script. Now keep in mind this script will be in the description down below. You may need to modify it if you are wanting to put inside a game and all. I mean, you really don't have to, but I would just because you can make it your own script and all. Okay, so at the top, we're going to be putting using UnityEngine.ui. This is absolutely necessary if you're going to be using a text value or text variable or slider variable. Okay, now we're going to roll down. You need to create a public string called resource name, a public int called cur resource amount, comma, max resource amount. You're going to create a public float called gather time, and you're going to create a public float called time. The next thing that you're going to do is create a public slider called resource slider. And of course, you're going to create public particle systems normal and collect. Keep in mind these are just names and you can change these names to be whatever you want it to be. And of course, we have a public text resource text. Okay, so underneath the void start function, we're going to basically put our time, which is basically how much time it takes, is equal to gather time. So if your gather time is equal to 0, then it's going to be equal to 0. Now I would advise at least having a 0.1 as your gather time or 0.01 as your gather time because the script will not work otherwise. So if you want the resource grabbed immediately, make sure that you set it to a 0.01. Okay, we're going to say cur resource amount is equal to max resource amount, obviously, and resource slider dot max value is equal to max resource amount. So basically we're going to grab our slider and we're going to make sure that its value is equal to our max value of our resource. And we're going to do the same thing with our value or the resource value. And we're going to make it equal to our current resource value. And of course, resource text, we're going to make it equal to our name. Now I know that sounds really confusing, but basically we're just setting it up to where everything is equal to the others. So the slider's now going to be maintaining its value with our resource amounts, and our slider's name is going to be equal to our resource name. And that's pretty much all that was saying. And of course, what you're going to do is you're going to copy these two values up here, the slider and the max value and the value. And you're just going to paste it down here. This is so it will update every single frame. That way you're not dealing with issues over there. You could put this down here whenever you collect it, but I would just put it up here for purposes. Okay, so right here, as it says, if complete, we're just going to say if our current resource amount is less than or equal to 0. So once it reaches the bottom, we're going to destroy this game object. Now, if you want to add like an explosion when it destroys itself, you could put it right there. No biggie. And then you just need to add like a timer on there to say when it gets destroyed. And of course, we're going to say if time is less than or equal to 0 and current resource amount is greater than 0, then our current resource amount minus equals 1. So we're going to subtract 1 resource from our resource amount. We're also going to say time is equal to gather time, so it resets the timer. And of course, we're going to grab our particle system and we're going to press play. Now you notice this little script right here. That's just saying we need to add our inventory script here, and we're going to add a value to that. Now, I don't really cover inventory scripts because they're very long and complicated. So if you have an inventory script or you're using one that you actually got off the asset store, simply add that script here, and then of course put in adding to that script or value. Okay, and outside here we're going to put private void on trigger stay, and inside here it's just basically going to be simple. If other dot compare tag player, then we're going to have if we press the key, or press the E key, then time minus equals 0.01f, and normal.play. So as long as we're holding down the E key, then the time will decrease and the normal particle system will actually play. And of course, if we get our key up, so if we release the E key, then it's going to stop. And I did forget to put one other thing. So void, let's say on, oops, we're going to put void on trigger exit. And right here, we're just going to put time is equal to gather time. And just for purposes as well, we're going to say if other dot compare tag, and we're just going to put player, player, and just drop that in there like so. And perfect. And now we have a fully working script to where, oh, not that. I know what it is. We accidentally forgot to go and add that. See that, guys? Okay, now we got a fully working script. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and press play. Let me get rid of this thing. So if we look at this now, hold down E, it works just fine, great, and cool. Alright, I hope you guys liked this tutorial. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time.